Hey, welcome to Garage Misadventures. I'm Doug, and tonight I was replacing the glass in my fireplace that I broke last week doing something stupid. And while I was doing that, I was thinking about a podcast that I was listening to this week. I was listening to the Essential Craftsman podcast, and Nate was interviewing Dr. Don Boudreau, who's an economist, and they were having a really interesting discussion that really made me think pretty hard about what it means today in 2020 to be a craftsman or to be a maker. And the reason this was sparked is because when I got the new glass, obviously I'm in the US, the company that makes the stove is Canadian, and the sticker on the new glass said that the glass was made in Germany. And that just brought that podcast to mind because they were talking about how interconnected we are now, and that the things we have around us are the product of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people, their work and their efforts and their knowledge. And that was really interesting to think about because as a maker or a craftsman, we like to think of ourselves as being self-sufficient, and we like to think that we can build things and make things, and we don't need necessarily other people. We don't throw things away like our culture is so fond of when they break, but we can fix them. And that's true to an extent, but it's really interesting to think about how many other people are involved in that process now versus any other time in history. Even they were talking about in medieval times how most of the stuff you had back then, you either made from natural materials or you knew the guy who made it. And now here we sit on the far side here of the Industrial Revolution, and the things around us have so many more people involved in their production. And when you think about, as a DIYer, the things you use to fix, if you couldn't get those tools, how many of the projects that you've done would you have actually been able to complete? They were even talking about a pencil, and I have a screwdriver here that kind of illustrates the same point. The screwdriver has metal that was mined and then went through a factory and purified and made into the screwdriver handle on machines that were made by other people. The handle was made by people who know about plastics, and then there's rubber. Those are two different materials that probably had the expertise of multiple people in them. Just to get this simple screwdriver that I had to use to replace the glass in my fireplace. There's so many people involved. I like tools, so I can't complain too much about not having to make everything from scratch, because who'd want that? But it's just interesting to think about how many hundreds of thousands of other people are involved in every single project that we do as a maker or creator. So what does this concept of the global economy and the fact that there are hundreds and thousands of people involved in delivering high quality tools to your doorstep, if you want, mean for those of us who are creators and makers and craftsmen? I feel like it's an opportunity. Many of the tools that I use now would take a lifetime, multiple lifetimes, to invent and build, and someone's already done that. We now have the benefit of using all of these tools that have been developed over hundreds of years to create what we want. So I feel like it's an opportunity to build on those that came before us and pass those tools and that knowledge on to us to build something great of our own. So hopefully you enjoyed this little segment. We have a lot of cool projects coming. This was just something that was on my mind. I thought it was really cool. If you haven't checked out the Essential Craftsman podcast, you enjoy podcasts, I recommend it. Just something I listen to when I have some time when I'm working on a project. I like to have an earbud in and listen to a podcast. It feels like you get a little bit of knowledge that you wouldn't otherwise have. That's another way that we get to participate in other people's knowledge that is unlike anything we've ever been able to do before. So this is an interesting time. It's a definitely different than any time that's ever come before us in history. And hopefully we can use that as an opportunity, and we can add our own inventiveness and our own creativeness and leave our own tools behind for the next generation to be able to build on what we've done. So thanks for watching. Hope to catch you on the next video.